America, but I know in Cleveland, how many of you have noticed all the construction going on? Every time you turn to a street, there's some construction going on. Or when you
Yes.
go down another street, there's some construction going on. Cleveland is the capital of construction. Well, they're actually working on, those who have been to the office know, they're actually working on our street. And it's been quite interesting. They've been working on the street, I think, since March. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be done next month. So when I was leaving today, there was a notice on the door saying that on Monday and Tuesday that we needed to have our cars out the parking lot because they're going to work on the pavement or something. And so I found myself getting really, really irritated because I just want this stuff over and I just want this stuff done. So I was telling Ace about it. And after I got through telling him and I'm driving and I'm fussing, I ran into some more construction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Don't say.
what I want to talk about today is two things. The things that we think about and we put our energy in, how these things are happening faster than they've ever happened before. And the other thing is, as I was driving, I thought about what construction meant for me on the inside. How do I take the mirror of the construction and I asked myself, okay, what does this mean for me? And as I was saying that, I saw a big yellow flashing light. And I have a tendency when I'm driving that even though I'm driving, I can see um, stories and see all other things while I'm driving. And so I saw this flashing light and I was like, okay, family, what does this flashing light mean? It's caution. And then I saw the big red stop sign, and that meant stop. And so as I continue to talk to myself, what came up to me is how often are we under construction? How often do we get warning signs slow down? How warning stop? And we're so connected to the busyness of the day or what we need to do or where we need to go, that when our body or our mind or our emotions are trying to communicate with us, what happens is that we override that. And in overriding that, we do not deal with the things that are coming up for us to deal with. And so in driving in construction, sometimes the man is standing there with the sign and you're driving and he has you go. And as soon as you get right up to where he's at, he turns it around for the stop. And how often has our spirit told us to stop and be still and we override that? And looking at everything that's going on with the event, what came to me with the construction and with the event is this: when are we going to stop and allow ourselves to be under construction? Allow ourselves to have the bulldozer come and dig up those things that no longer serve us, those things that no longer belong to us, those belief systems that are not ours, that we've been programmed with. How often are we going to just override our inner self, our family, to do what we want to do instead of what we need to do? And so my question to you tonight would be, how often do you override your spirit? How often do you override the stillness that the body is telling you? How often do you eat that pizza and the body is telling you, I don't want that. How often are you overriding that anger and is saying, let it go, and you continue to hold on to it? You continue to allow it to fester, continue to allow these things that our inner self, our wisdom is trying to get us to let these things go. Because one thing that I'm learning with this event that's going on is that we're not done with it. And we're not done with it because we're not done with us. We're not taking the time to be still. We're trying to find something to do. They have the thing with the mask now. And, I'm driving down the street. I'm seeing more and more people out in the streets and stuff and everything. However, our body, our minds, our emotions, our spirit is saying, doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. What are you doing for you? How are you taking that time to be still and just allow yourself to be dug up, to be turned over? How are we going to not follow the norm and follow that what family is telling to us? So I know, Ace, you had a very interesting week this week. So my question to you is, are you under construction and how are you handling it?
Yeah, I think I've always been under construction. I think that's been my life. Um, this week has been interesting because I've had to pay attention more to the voices in my head, mainly the ego. So, you know how you have these thoughts go through your mind, and you have to recognize a lot of people. I remember I always used to question, how do I know if it's the ego speaking or my higher self? And I think that's all part of the construction. If you want to be able to hear your higher self, you got to be able to hear what? The ego. You got to know the difference in the two. So the
Right.
ego comes out and says, oh, you can't trust that. Well, that's the ego. So I think what I've been doing is recognizing the ego, not putting the ego down, but working on silencing the ego to allow space for me to hear my higher self and to take those cues from my higher self. Um, 5 days a week, I alternate how I do my exercises, and yesterday I had to do the run. And all morning, the ego's like, you can take a day off. You can do this. You can do that. And I knew it was the ego. So I was just chuckling with it, this, that, and the other. And I ignored it. I didn't even play into it. And it allowed me to just follow my routine. So I think the first thing you have to admit is that you're under construction. If you
Correct.
can't get there, then there's nothing to even talk about. But once you know that you're under construction, especially during this time, because during this time, a lot of things are popping up, you put yourself in a situation to, through a third vantage point, be able to recognize the difference between the ego and your higher self. And then from there, you can make better decisions. So yeah, I think this week they've been doing some demolition. It's been more than just construction. It's been like, no, we need to demolish some things, like tear down some things and then rebuild it. And it's been weird because what I've learned is that letting go of an aspect of yourself, a belief, something that's been constructed, that now you have to tear it down and build something else. There is a place there where you feel uncertain, you feel weird, your energy is off, you feel like you're off vibration, off frequency. But what it really is that you're getting used to the new frequency, the new vibration. So I think through the transition period, you have to just sit with it and let it go. But I think the biggest thing is the recognition. Um, I think this week I identified 13 different voices that come through me. Some are from higher self, some are from spirit, some are definitely Ace 88. Y'all don't know about Illinois, but there's definitely different voices. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Y'all may not want to admit it.
Yes.
We all got them. So, you hear about multiple personalities, this, that, and the other, and you as the observer have to recognize when you're in these different modes, because I think recognition is the key. Because what's the biggest thing in construction? And when you're under construction, what's the biggest thing? You have to observe what's going up or what's coming down, what you're building, how many rooms, this, that, and the other. So I think as we go through this, new voices are coming in, old voices are going out. It's like a changing of the guard. And then when that happens, it changes your frequency. So that's what I've been going through. And it's been very, I don't want to say problematic. That's not the word. For me, during this time, during this event, you wake up every day and you just don't know what the hell's going to happen. And I think pre 2020, I never had that issue. I used to be able to get up and kind of like know, like, this is going to happen today and roll through the day. No, I think this year the universe is like, oh, we got something for all y'all, and we're gonna gift wrap it, send it to planet Earth. And I think every day we wake up, there is this, I don't want to call it a nervous feeling, but there's a knowing that we have to be more present because we don't know what's to come. So Annette, I'll end with that.
Thank you. And when you were talking about the different voices, I've been talking about us having a family meeting and talking to all of who we are that's inside of us. But in looking at construction, I see all of the different voices and things that we look at those as the cones they have. Because when construction is done, you got all of these cones, and if you're not paying attention, what happens? Sometimes you run into the cones, and you gotta pay attention and follow where the cones are taking you. And we're so used to following where our ego is taking us that a lot of times we get off. And one thing that I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and one thing that came to me as far as the construction and being still and doing what we need to do, I was telling her when I look back, I look at Gaia, Mother Earth, calling God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, and and them having a family meeting and saying, Mother Earth is saying, you know what? I need to cleanse. I need to straighten up. But they keep polluting me. They keep putting this energy out. And source or universe, whatever you is calling, well, yeah, well, what do we need to do? And the two of them coming together and saying, okay, planet Earth, we're going to sit your butt down. We're going to make you be quiet. We're going to make you still and go within self so we can do what we need to do. And in seeing that, it just made so much sense to me, because how many of you in the morning you're hearing more birds? The animals are coming out, the birds is chirping, you're seeing more deer, you're seeing a lot of animals coming out when you're walking, different things. And why is that? Because we need to be sitting down being still. And so the earth is purging. So what should we be doing? We should be doing purging. And so is there anybody else that is going through construction this week, last week, or the whole year? Are you going through construction, and what does that construction feel like? Does anybody want to speak on it?
I'd say about a month or so ago, maybe a month and a half, I had this urge to purge. So I physically just started throwing things away, giving things away. And then I realized it was an inner purge that was happening too. And it felt so good just getting rid of things. I would come home just ready to give things away. And I realized that just like the earth, I am also getting rid of unnecessary energy, unnecessary items in my house that hold energy that may be affecting me that I didn't even know. I mean, even right now, if I can go through some stuff that I can give away, I'm like, let me go through my drawers. I just want to give it all away. I just don't want it anymore. I feel like it's very heavy. And I'm thankful for it because, I mean, I've given so much away. I've thrown so much away. And I feel lighter and I just want to keep going until like I'm almost airless. I love it.
Yeah, good, good, good. Thank you for sharing, Shara. Anyone else? Okay, so I'm gonna pick on you some more,
Um,
Ace. Oh, there. Go ahead, Toya.
hey, um,
Hey.
same for me. So over these past few months, I have taken some time to get quiet, and I would say too, I'm under construction too, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and like Shar, just purging and releasing. But my purging and releasing been more so mentally and emotionally versus around the house. I need to get to that too. But I just really been I just really been sitting still, going back to what I know. So going back to doing Reiki on myself and journaling. But I had to, and I think I shared this with you, and that I had to revisit the Warrior Goddess book, and I hadn't been in that book. I completed it 5 years ago, and and the reason why I'm under construction is that when I went back through it, there were certain things that I had grown and healed from and grew. But then there were some things I'm like, wow, I'm still struggling with this, and it's 5 years later. And then there were some things that manifest for me in the good, and so I, celebrated that. But the things that trip me up and some of those triggers and some of those things that I'm still dealing with, I had to be gentle with myself and say, this is a work in progress. It may not be as how it was then or heavy on me then, but it's still something I'm still contending with. And so, I'm going to stay in construction the rest of this year. I'm going to focus on me and my inner child and having these dialogues and things like that with my inner child. And there's some things that I'm healing from, and also just um, redefining certain things in my life and certain people in my life. So it's good to be under construction. I needed to slow down, and I think this construction sign told me, slow down, little girl, and deal with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
To piggyback off what Toya said, she said something that made me think about my process of being gentle. And one thing that love has told me is to be more gentle with myself. I find myself being more patient with myself, which I haven't been. And the biggest thing is that no matter what is happening, what has happened or what's currently happening, it is okay. Let go of the guilt, shame, for it doesn't matter. It's okay. Yeah, I thought that way before, and I can change my mind now, but don't keep harping on the fact that I was that way before. It's okay. And that has been really big for me, being gentle, being okay with myself, being patient, more nurturing and loving. And it makes life for me and living easier. Just to know it's like, okay, I thought that way before. I don't feel that way now. It's okay. Let's move on. And so I'm able to move through things a lot quicker than I had before because I didn't necessarily let myself off the hook, but I forgave myself for having thought a certain way and allowed myself just to move on and not hold on to the guilt of how I was, but accept who I am now and just move on in love.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you. Anyone else?
I think for myself, it's been releasing the attachments of thoughts and what they're attached to. And so, are these thoughts attached to things that actually happen or things that I've somehow conjured in my head that will happen? And that can be about people. It can be a lot about myself and about the things I think of myself or what I think someone else thinks of me in my decisions or choices. And so I definitely agree with the other statements too. I too, Toya, need to probably purge my house, and I'm not there. But but definitely this attachment to mostly ideas, ideas about religion, ideas about um, my womanness, ideas about who I am as an employer, or you know what I mean, like all these different things and what those mean to me, and really asking myself, who said that?
Yeah.
And what, who said it first? I think that's been my big thing. Like, who said that? Who? And Annette and I talked about this. I'm like, who said that? Who's talking now? Um, and sometimes it's not me. It's not any of them of me. It's often someone else. So my construction has been a lot of that, and really being intentional about my quiet time in the day, and then my quiet time in the evening. One of the things I found out, and I think Ace, you mentioned your morning and how we start the morning. One of the things I realized is when I slow down, there's a period of time when I wake up that everything's okay.
Mhm.
And so really holding that, and like, ooh,
Yeah.
I felt it, and then attempting to find that again. And you miss it sometimes because we get into the rush of going, but if you sit for a minute, you'll be able to feel it. So I think many of us are under construction, but for me, that it's been like, how can I hold on to that little moment a little bit longer and a
Right.
little bit longer? So
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? So, I want you to think about what everybody said. And as I was sitting here, I heard everybody's in fourth dimension. And then it was like, did you know that? Because the one thing that everyone said was that I'm being more compassionate with self. Compassion is a fourth dimension thing. Normally, if we were in three dimension, what would you be doing? Like
Beating
Shara was
ourselves up.
saying in the past, beating up yourself, getting, being guilty, feeling bad and everything else. But nobody who has spoke has said that. Everyone has said, I find myself being more compassionate with myself, more loving with myself. And so that means that give yourself kudos, celebrate that. That means you're moving on. You know, you're letting those old things go. They no longer serve you. And the thing about it and letting it go, it sounds like everyone is letting it go and being okay with it and recognizing, oh, okay, I can let this go. It's cool, you know. And so as we continue through this event, as you continue, stay in the construction. Or as A says, some of us are under demolition, just tearing everything down and building up a brand new structure. Sometimes we need to do that. And it's okay. Why? Because what are we getting rid of? What's being demolition? The old self. And trust me, it's going to be kicking and screaming because it doesn't want to go. But it's not that we are getting rid of. And that's the thing that we have to help our own inner self understand. We're not trying to get rid of the ego. The ego has its purpose. We're not trying to get rid of anything. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring everything together and be one and be on purpose, whatever that is. And, as you all were saying about, cleansing and throwing stuff out and get rid of things, there are going to be some things that you want to throw out, and there's going to be a tug of war with that. So I'm letting you all know now, there's going to be a tug of war with that. The tug of war is not that you should or shouldn't give it away. The tug of war is going to be choice. Do I still want to stay in this belief system, or am I ready to move on? So sometimes things that you want to get rid of within self is going to hang on a little longer than you want it to, but it's there for a purpose. Because the one thing I'm finding in having a meeting with all of my families is that everybody of me knows what's going on with me now. You know, it's not my inner child that's only talking to me as the parent. It's all of me that knows what's going on. And in giving each aspect, as Ace says, all the personalities of voice, everybody gets to hear what's going on and gets to understand who you truly are. So, you know, I had somebody say to me today, are you talking to yourself? Yep. Are you answering yourself? I am. Okay, that's called being crazy. No, that's called who else can answer me but me? And so I don't care if I talk to myself and I answer myself. Why? Because I'm learning all aspects of who I am. And I've got to be okay with that in spite of what someone else thinks. So, Ace, in your demolition, are you finding that the demolition is easy, or are you finding in certain areas that the ground is like real hard and you're going to have to call in a bigger bulldozer to break some stuff up?
No, it's when you're observing, it's easy because you see it and then you sit with it. There are some hot moments where the ego will flare up, and you say, okay, you recognize it. Um, it's been cool watching it. Some of it has been cool watching it, but there are certain aspects of my life where, okay, you guys are coming around these red cones, and we're not ready to deal with this yet. But for the most part, I think and I'm just going to call it out. One of the things I've been doing this year is just being more transparent. I think in transparency, other people will see, okay, I can relate to that. I'm a big control freak. Ever since I left home at 16, I've controlled pretty much every aspect. Like, it's got to be done my way. And I think I put that Facebook post up not too long. I got to do it my way. But
Yeah, you did.
what's been going on with me now, especially during this time, is I've had to trust more. And what I'm finding out is I'm still in control. It's just a different aspect of control, because the control comes from setting the intention, being in vibration, and being in frequency. And it never hit me like that. So in meditation not too long ago, they kind of explained the process to me, because I had this new energy, this new voice speaking to me. I'm like, I don't know you. Like, what are you doing here? Like, it's like, well, you'll be dealing with me from now on for a while, and explaining the whole control thing from a spiritual aspect. They were like, no, you still get to set the intention. And if you align your vibration and frequency up, if it all matches up, you're going to get what you want anyway. So we're all content creators. Do you guys understand that? Like, we still get to create here, this big grand experiment on planet Earth. We are still here as creators, but creating from the physical is a lot different than creating from the non-physical, creating from the spiritual aspect or the higher aspect of how we are. And I've always been, this is what molds. And you can create from there, but it's very exhausting. it's very demanding, it's very taxing, and it creates these other pillars that are all in the flesh and the physical. But you can move over to the non-physical, higher self, spirit, vibration, frequency, set the intention, just let it go, and you can still have the same outcome, but it's a lot easier. So I've been working through that, and I've been feeling good, and implementing, letting go of some of these belief systems that I've had little by little. You know, now I'll give an example. My eating habits, I'm going a couple days here and there where I'm not eating meat on a given day. Like, I've never been able to do that. I'm not eating after 9. Never been able to do that. Okay. Used to do it, but there was some resistance. You know, what? I like to have some at 1 o'clock in the morning. So little by little, I'm letting go of some of these beliefs, and just by the intention, setting the intention, allowing different aspects of myself are now building up. And this is the cool thing. The cool thing about being under construction is that you see the new pieces coming up. And it's really, really, really cool. Like, wow, you went 3 weeks without eating after, let's say, 9 o'clock, you know, that opens up something totally different. Like, wow, we can do this, we can do. So they're kind of like building blocks that take you beyond. And a year from now, we'll look back at the Zoom and I'll be a totally different person. And that's the cool thing as we move from, and again, it's no good or bad, but I feel we're all in a 4D, but we're moving to this 5th dimension. And this is what it looks like. So, but there's still some hot spots. There's still times I want to jump in and be all in the flesh. And then the voice comes in. Does that serve your soul? And they start talking to me. You got to put their arms around me and all that. Grab my cheeks, and you're going to be okay. You don't have to go fight everybody. Okay. But so we have a lot of laughing. I laugh at myself a lot now because I'm starting to see myself slow down and not take action in the physical, just more of a relaxing, we're going to get through this. And I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to really, really get it. But I think the big thing for me is when they showed me in my meditation the difference between creating in the physical and creating in the spiritual vibration and frequency. It's a game changer. And I needed that because they just, for a lot of people, it's like, hey, that's common sense, but it didn't hit me that way. It hit me like a ton of bricks when they really broke it down for me. So there you go.
You know, it's interesting. And I go back to what's going on the street, where the office is at. And one of the things that I was like, every other day, they weren't working. Like, if they would work every single day, they would get done with the street. I want them done. Why can't they work every day? This is crazy, you know. And during the event, they weren't working at all. So like there was weeks that there was nothing going on, and there were these barrels, and there was these bulldozer not moving. There were these trucks not moving. There were holes in the street that was not, you know. And so I went up to one of the guys, and I always speak to him in the morning. So I said to him, I said, how come you all aren't working every day? You know we want y'all gone. And he said, well, there's certain aspects when we dig up the street, when we dig up and everything, that we have to let the soil settle. So we can't work every single day, because there's things that goes on when we disturb Mother Nature.
Mhm.
There's things that have to happen. There's things that we need to say, okay, mama, I know I did this, but let me chill for a minute. And that was profound to me, because what do? We dig up, we want to put we ain't got all the weeds up, we ain't got all the stones out the ground, we done demolition, and now we want to build something on faulty foundation. Our foundation isn't stable. And when he said that to me, and today they weren't out working, and I just said, okay, mama, gonna do what you need to do so they can come tomorrow, and do what they need to do. But how often have we been demolitioned, and self says, just sit with this, don't do anything. Just sit with this and allow. And we want to go and, no, I got to do this and we got to do that. So be more gentle with yourself. And when things aren't moving as fast as you want to, know that there's something else going on. Know that there's a settling going on. You can't rip off the Band-Aid and then just think you're going to be healed. No. And so use the construction and the barrows and everything. When you're driving and you're out, watch those, and then take that and apply it to what we're going through now. It'll help you be more gentle on yourself. It'll help you love yourself more. It'll help you have more compassion and understand who you truly are. And know that in the end, the street's going to be done. The building's going to go up. How fast and how slow doesn't matter. The process is what matters, and how we go through the process is what matters. We can demolition and have faulty concrete and then have to tear back down again. We don't want to do that. We want to go through the process and just allow. And so that's all I have this evening. Be okay with being under construction. And just allow yourself to go through the process in love and celebrate just the little things, as they take that one brick away, as you throw away those shoes that you can't even wear anymore, celebrate the things, because in celebrating, the process will continue and you'll go through the process even more. So Ace, you want to close out?
Absolutely. Great. This was really cool. So I hope you guys got something out of it, and thanks to all of you that contributed to this. We will be back this Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for a meditation, and we will see you guys there. So guys, thanks a lot. Thanks for everything that you do. Thanks for supporting Forever Phoenix, and we'll talk to each and every one of you real soon. Okay?
Have a good night, everyone. Love you all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Love you
Thank you.
guys.
Peaches.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.